Thank you guys for jumping on the call. Today we have Jordan Pohn from SharePoint Equity and Hampton Scurlock. We're going to be talking about the market. First, we've got a couple things we need to knock out before we get started. First of all, any opinions mentioned in the video are strictly our own. They're not necessarily KREIA's, but I value these opinions quite a bit. Mike Fallett sent me a note about masks. So U of L Hospital needs N95 masks. They're running out with no resupply and can now use industrial grade N95 masks. So we're putting out the call. Donors can text Mike at 502-396-7371. I'm going to post this note in the chat. Okay.
People, and they're not.
Okay, sorry guys. It's supposed to be muted automatically when you come in. Okay. I had a talk with the hard money lenders yesterday. Mike Fallett from M&M, Chris McCarty from Flippin' Loans, Jordan Pohn, and Lee Wise from SharePoint Equity. They're all still lending. They're scrutinizing deals about the same rate as they were before. They just want people to focus on areas they have experience, strength, and knowledge. Be exceptionally transparent with lenders, partners, agents, etc. Trust is super important at this time. And then we understand that there is going to be some changes and some difficulties moving forward. So we're bracing for it, planning for it, but they're still lending. We still love our market. We're eternal, slow to rise, slow to fall. So just wanted to put that disclaimer out there. And then, yes, so let's get to Jordan and Hampton. I've got a couple questions for Jordan to kick off. Be sure to post your questions in the chat if you have them, because once we knock out these Jordan questions, we're going to go to the chat for questions. All right. Jordan, we've heard talk about this being like the 2008 financial crisis or the 2001 financial crisis. What are some similarities between the two?
So I'm one of the old ones that was around in 2008 and suffered through that. And that was a pure financial crisis. What we're in now is a health crisis that's leading to a financial and economic crisis. So let me explain a little bit more. And if those of you who were at last Tuesday's presentation that I gave, some of it will be overlap. So number one, the mortgage business back in 2008 is really what kicked off that crisis. Back from 2000 to 2007, the loans that were being given out were absolutely awful loans. It was the wild, wild west, for those who remember. Just to give you an example, there was a program called the 125% LTV. I don't know how many of you remember that, but it is an insane program where if your house valued at $100,000 appraised, you could get a $125,000 loan against that house. Whoever thought that was a good idea and would hold up, but we all did them, including our company. We had a mortgage company back then. Everybody was doing them, and the banks were loving them. And so that's the second difference is the banks were buying up all of these mortgage loans, and they were making a lot of money off these mortgage loans. The problem is when these mortgage loans went bad, the banks had a bunch of bad debt on their books that they couldn't handle. It came fast and furious. They had to write off all these loans, their balance sheets, assets, liabilities. All of a sudden, the liabilities skyrocketed, which means they were illiquid and could not loan out any money. Today, completely the opposite. Mortgage market, fine, rates as low as they've been. Banks, fine, balance sheets look great. They have plenty of money to lend out. So those are the biggest two reasons. And the government, which Hampton's going to talk about later on, is another reason that this will be different back in 2008. Now, the companies, well, you might have another question before I continue.
Yeah. So it's very different than 2008. Is it more similar to 2001 when 9/11 and whatnot?
No, that was kind of a one-time hit, and I don't remember that as well, but that was not an economic financial crisis. That was more like the one-time hit of the virus coming along. Obviously, yeah, we had a one-time hit of the planes crashing. So it wasn't anything going forward. The uncertainty was a lot less back then. That's hard to say than it is now. I don't know if anybody knows how long or how bad this is going to be.
Well, and it's different because this is more of a global thing. It's not isolated just to the United States, whereas 2001, 2008 were both a local thing. Hampton, did you want to chime anything? I muted you right now because we're getting feedback on your end, so I'm going to unmute you.
Okay. Yeah. I was in the financial industry right in 2001 and was in Lexington, Kentucky, right across from the Lexington World Trade Center. So I remember it well, and it did provide there was a big drop in the stock market, but necessarily the housing market wasn't as affected. It did cause some uncertainty, but I think what we're dealing with now is it's global. It's probably going to extend a bit longer and have different effects. But I think we'll get through it. It's just things may be a bit different. I know we're approaching things differently with looking at houses and cleaning them out, making offers, and calculating holding costs. And there's a lot of uncertainty right now, and which could be good and could be bad. Depends on how you look at it and how you react. And
good to buy, good to sell. Flip the coin.
Yeah.
All right, Jordan. Next question for you. So we see how it's going to affect banks a little bit, just because they're still going to be willing to lend. They're sitting on money, but now it's the uncertainty on borrowing it. Mortgages, I saw that mortgages went up yesterday. Interest rates, is that correct?
Down in general, I did not check yesterday, Hampton.
Okay, yeah, I think it was.
Hampton, you're on my screen right now. Rob?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay, so yeah, Chad Paris posted something about how interest rates jumped yesterday. So I don't know if I can validate that, but Chad's pretty darn good. Next question. Sorry, I'm finding it. There we go. So what's the government going to do to help everyone through these rough times? Because it's all secular.
Hampton, you want me to start on that one?
Sure. Then I'll jump in with the stimulus package as of last night at 7.
Yes. So the government basically on a global level is doing everything it can to stop this. Steve Mnuchin, who's our Treasury Secretary, knows business. He knows what needs to be done. And it seems like every day he is doing something. So first thing, which was done end of last week when things started tipping, was he took the Fed funds rate down to 0. Does everyone know what the Fed funds rate is? If not, it's the short-term rate. It does not affect mortgage rates. So don't expect your mortgage rates to go down to 0. It's the overnight rate that banks lend to each other, but it's basically set by the federal government. He took that down to 0. Again, short-term rates will not be 0 either. The banks have to make some spread, but if he brings those down to 0, the banks also bring their interest rates down as well. So things like auto loans, HELOCs, those type of things, the short-term problems, that should help take care of that. More importantly, and not as many people know it, the government is buying commercial paper. So think of commercial paper as businesses needing short-term promissory notes. So they're getting loans from the government now because people don't want to loan businesses money, Starbucks, et cetera, because they're all losing revenue and profits. So the government is buying commercial paper. It's unsecured debt, and it funds things like payroll, accounts payable, right? That is what everybody needs right now. They can't pay their payroll. They can't pay their accounts payable. Buying commercial paper is probably the strongest thing the government is doing today. And Mnuchin is behind that. And he's got 4 or 5 other things that he is doing. He's going to bail out the airline industry with $50 billion. The airline industry is kind of like the banks, which got bailed out in 2008. Nobody's flying. So he immediately said, I want $50 billion earmarked for specifically the airline industry. The car and auto industry may need it as well. They just stopped manufacturing all the 3 big ones, Chrysler, GM, and Ford. So they may need a bailout as well. On a positive note, these companies that are losing revenue, losing profits, it's not because these companies are any different than they were a month ago. Starbucks, Home Depot, all these businesses, Apple, none of them have changed. They've all got the same solid platform, right, as they did a month ago. Nothing has changed as far as with those companies. The coronavirus has changed the revenue and profits of those companies. But when this thing turns, they are all still very solid companies. They all have a lot of cash on their books. They're going to make it through it, but it's just going to be for how long. So I think Mnuchin is going back to the government, he's going to do whatever he has to do, and Hampton's going to talk about some other very important things. That said, these stimulus packages can only outrun so much. So 3 months, we should be fine. 6, 9, 18 months, he's going to have to think of things that are way outside of the box, outside of 2008, because these companies can only take this for so long. Only the biggest of the big will survive. Your local mom and pops are going to have trouble. Hampton, would you like to add?
Yes, and unfortunately, that's true. And so we've heard a lot of KREIA members, and it's on Facebook, support your local businesses, go out and buy gift cards so they can use that money to help them get by in the short term. And so it is important to support those businesses. But the government realizes people's hours are being cut. Certain businesses are shut down. People's incomes may be going down, and they're talking about a one-time stimulus check or one-time payment to the American people. And the way it's proposed right now, as of last night at 7 o'clock, was the most up-to-date information I had and read about, was they're looking at giving everyone who has filed their taxes for 2019. That was an important thing. You have to have filed your taxes, and they're looking at giving it $1,200 to a single individual that files their taxes, alone, $2,400 per married couple filing jointly, and then an additional $500 per dependent. So a family of married couple with 3 children, it's going to be $3,900. Married couple with 2 children, it's going to be $3,400. So that may change, and right now it's supposed to be a one-time payment. But as Jordan was saying, that if this goes on and on, they may come out with a second payment. But that's something down the road that the government's going to have to decide. But those amounts are not, and there's also a phase out amount where if you earn over $150,000 as a married couple, you may not get that full amount of that check. If you earn over $75,000 taxable income as an individual, your check may be prorated or start to be phased out at higher income levels. So not everyone may get this check. If you don't get a check, or if it doesn't happen, don't come to me. I'm not giving away checks, but that's just the way that the proposal is situated. Looks like it's going to pass, and in that form. Somebody asked me, what should I do with the check? Well, you may have bills to pay. You may put it away for a rainy day. If you fortunate and didn't need it, you've got until April 15th to contribute for an IRA to your Roth IRA. And there's even talks, the AICPA is and some other organizations are petitioning Congress to try to get that deadline extended as well. So, but for now, you've got until April 15th, 2020 to contribute for your 2019 tax year. So it's not too late to contribute if you've got the extra money to do that. And it maybe you're able to buy some of these stocks while they're low. I don't know if they're at the lowest they'll be, but they're lower than they've been. My daughter was mentioning, Daddy, I want to buy some Disney when things get better. I want to buy Carnival stock. Because you hear people talking about stocks that are real hard hit. And when people start traveling and going on cruises again, or when this dies down, she thinks it'd be that, and she wants a discount if we go on a cruise again. So, so it could be a buying opportunity I'd say if you time it right, but if you just watch it, it can be dangerous to catch that falling knife. But there may be some buying opportunities out there, on some of these good companies that will survive and make it through. It's just a temporary setback for now.
Can I add to that for a moment, Rob?
Yeah.
So I saw last night, to jump off of what Hampton was talking about, giving money back to people, which I cannot remember that. It seems unprecedented to me. Maybe someone older knows, but I've never seen it before. So as far as stimulus, that's huge. I think, though, if you make over $99,000, and you may want to check me, you can't get any of that money. Hampton, is that correct?
They started the phase out at $75,000
right
for an individual and $150 for married filing jointly, but that may change too. They may change it from 75 to 99. So we don't know what the final product will look like for sure until it's all passed and signed off on. But maybe that's the number, 75 to 99,000. It starts getting phased out, and if you're over 99,000 as an individual, then you don't get anything.
Sorry, let me distinguish. It gets phased out. You're right, Hampton, 75 to 99. It drops.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Great content, guys. Okay, so I know, Jordan, we're going to get to the rest of these questions, but we do have some updates from people in the gallery. Right now, a 30-year fixed mortgage is at 4% as of this morning, according to Brian Stevens. And then Todd Johnson said mortgage-backed securities, MBSs, worsened by 109 BPs on Wednesday, then 19 BPs yesterday, and worse by 56 BPs today. This correlates to a 30-year rate going up 1.5% in the last 3 days. So, awesome. And then Brian Halesley, I don't know how to say his last name. Sorry, Brian. Fed is delaying tax filing. How is that going to work for getting tax refunds?
I hear a dog.
Yeah, that's right. And Walter. So tax filings, are being delayed to July 15th. So they're wondering, are they going to get their tax refunds like normal, or is that going to be delayed too? You guys probably don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've heard there's not supposed to be, well, as of a few days ago, there wasn't supposed to be any significant delays. So it's kind of business as normal, for the IRS. But that could change. They may not want all their employees to come in. They may take a little longer processing for various reasons. But for now, supposedly their announcement was that it won't. Actually, if anything, it may actually get faster because you have less people filing and trying to squeeze it in before the April 15th deadline. So you may actually get it back a little faster if they keep their staff, working and diligent processing these. But supposedly no delays as of now.
Some stranger named Frank Miller said, how do you guys think this will affect the future mortgage banks and lenders of timeline on closings? Jordan?
Who?
Some guy named Frank Miller.
So repeat the question. I was just thinking about Frank
how do you
Miller.
guys think this will affect the future mortgage banks and lenders of timeline on closings. So are things going to close at normal?
Short term, slow. In fact, and this sounds backwards, but some of the bigger and the biggest of banks, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, are raising their rates artificially because they're so backlogged that they would kill to do more, but they know they're backlogged and they're going to make people upset. So they raise the rates up. People call in. They think the rate's too high and they go other places, which normally you would want as many people as you could possibly get. That should get better. They should be staffing up because they do want them. They just don't want the mortgages right now. But it's going to be slow.
Yeah, sure. Another question that I got in the peanut gallery. What steps would you recommend buy and hold investors take to prepare for tenants not paying rents? They're very interested on getting your all's perspectives.
Yeah. So now you're a buy and hold. You start, Hampton.
Yeah, I had several people call me, and I'd have to give them little nuggets, or I'd just say, listen to the call. I had 5 calls. Actually, I had 5 calls yesterday and a couple this morning, and somebody's like, what do you do when they can't pay? Are you reaching out to them, or are you just seeing who doesn't pay, by the first and trying to give them options? And yeah, it kind of depends on your situation. I'm generally, pretty nice, want to be accommodating, and I understand we have had a tenant reach out and say, hey, they're not giving her any more hours at her work. So she contacted us asking if we had any houses to clean, things to pick up, paint, just so she could do odd jobs. So, somebody like that we'll definitely try and work with. We may have other people that bury their head in the sand and just don't pay or trying to ignore what's going on. But we will want to reach out to those people and try to work with them. And maybe we redo the lease, we extend the lease. And if they can only pay half the rent this month and next month, maybe we kind of build that into a new 2 or 3 year lease. So we say, hey, you're $400 short this month. We'll give you another $400 break next month. But then it goes, back to normal. We need a new, if you want to redo a lease, we'll kind of give you this break, and then we'll add that extra, $30 on to the mortgage for the next, onto the rental payment for the next 3 years. So we kind of defer getting our payment, but we keep them in the house. We keep the property occupied. We build some loyalty with our tenants, and we're not having to deal with the turnover, because that can really hurt. We don't want to have to go in and paint and clean and recarpet and redo this, and then go try to find someone else in this, with this all going on right now. Mm-hmm. So that's at least that's our approach.
Jordan, real quick, I was on the national REIA call and I wrote this down. Your properties are not your assets right now. Your tenants are your assets. So maintain and build relationships with your tenants and be human. So that is what the national REIA was putting out in the call. I mean, you got to set boundaries and everything, but it seemed smart to me, I think. Jordan, go ahead.
I was going to just actually echo what you just said. I don't think, although I'm not a landlord, being a hard ass in any aspect of your business, probably not the right time, whether it's lender, tenant, landlord, business owner. You may change the rules. I think all rules have been changed. You're going to have, I loved Hampton's ideas, but gaining that loyalty with somebody who just lost their job, I mean, that's going to be great for the long run. Don't play short ball, play the long ball. So I think that's what Hampton was mentioning when he just talked about it.
Brian Stevens, once again, said the timeline for closing should be the same, but commercial loan terms are going to get tighter with rates going up and loan-to-value maximums going down. And then Michael Forrest said, I think they are delaying tax payments and not filing date, but I believe it's tax payments and filing date. Am I wrong?
Though your payments are still due, is what they've said, but the filing date has been extended. So, but they're talking about giving a 3-month reprieve on interest or penalties, possibly.
Oh, Oh,
but you'll want to file an extension or get your taxes filed. If you want that stimulus check, the way I understand it is you have to have your 2019 taxes filed to be eligible for this 2020 stimulus check. So that's kind of in the fine print, the way it's proposed now. I had heard someone say, well, can we just give it to people who filed their 2018 taxes because the 2019 taxes aren't due yet? And, but historically, when they've done these type of incentives, they've been tied to a tax return or a tax refund. And so I believe you're going to have to file your 2019 taxes before you get these stimulus checks if you're eligible, if you don't earn too much darn money.
Hampton, I was talking to Luke Neubauer, and he's lost a significant amount of bookings for his Airbnbs because, I mean, Airbnb has definitely been the hardest hit group in our niche at this moment. If he can prove that he had those bookings, can he claim those as a loss on his taxes, you think?
Now, this is not investment, legal, or tax advice. And so it's kind of like me saying, Rob, I'm going to give you $10,000, just put it in your pocket right now.
Mm-hmm.
But then I decide not to, or I cancel the plan or the reservation. You never got that $10,000, so you didn't claim it as an income, so you can't write it off as a loss. You didn't receive it, so you're not taxed on it. So now if he has some type of lost rental or some type of specialized policy, then he may be able to get some type of remuneration. But a lot of people don't have that type of insurance, lost rents policy of some sort. But
the only thing is with Airbnb, 50% of the bookings are supposed to be guaranteed outright. So I don't know. I wonder.
They've changed their policies,
mm-hmm.
And in the past, if you had someone book and then cancel for no reason or cancel after the deadline, Airbnb would keep some of that money or share it with the host. But now that they're refunding everything, so Airbnb is not making money. The hosts are making money with those cancellations, and the people that booked aren't being unfairly harmed, because if their concert was canceled or their football game was canceled, they don't need to travel and stay in that Airbnb any longer. Same thing like if they can't fly to where they're going. So I understand why it's happening. It just kind of it hurts or stings a little bit as an Airbnb host, but it's just the new short-term normal until this passes or gets a little better.
Well, the hope is September. Look, if everything gets better, September is going to be wild with those 3 big concerts. You're going to have football season. They're moving Derby. I mean, like, there's a lot of money to be made in September and pent-up demand. It's going to be cool. We've got a question. My concern is that some tenants may abuse the moratorium put on evictions. I'm a landlord. I'm worried because I will have to pay my mortgages even if the tenants stop paying. So actually, someone had something good in the national REIA call, and I wrote that down. The danger right now is the credit stack. Everyone needs to cooperate. Tenants need relief from landlords. Landlords need relief from lenders. Lenders from their lenders, etc. So really, it's right now the government's just going to have to start at the top, and it'll have to work its way down. Right? That's what they're saying at the REIA.
That's the thought, and what they're kind of referring to in the broader picture is the government insured mortgages, because they can maybe get reprieve or some type of forgiveness. But people have private loans or non-government insured mortgages. That's a different ballpark, and government can't necessarily mandate that they offer forgiveness or so it's kind of a case by case basis. So we hear people talk about loan forgiveness or mortgage payment deferment or delay. They may just be referring to government insured mortgages, not some of the mortgages that people have at a local bank that are held in house or that are with a private lender or a family member. I don't think there'll be a universal reprieve or assistance, but there may be some type of collaboration with government insured mortgages at some point. It hasn't, it's not out there yet.
Do you think right now, do you think Section 8 will loosen up a little bit because all these people are waiting for these inspections? Do you think they'll loosen up maybe to try to get people off the streets?
I hate to even, think about what. But you'd hope they would bring in more inspectors or try to solve the problem. But they may be telling their inspectors not to go out and expose themselves and go to these properties. And so you've got to weigh who's in harm's way. Do the inspectors want to actually do that? Yes, it may really eliminate some of the housing problems, but it may expose more people to, a virus or sickness. So it's a tough call. I'd love to see them make improvements and get the inspections done quicker, because I know that's a big problem, a big headache for a lot of or big deterrent for a lot of landlords accepting Section 8. But I don't know how they're going to address that right now.
Brian Stevens once again said that I know Republic Bank is offering up to a 90-day payment deferral on business loans, and I know Cub Bank sent something out too. So I'm assuming you'll see River City and most of the banks falling in line with that. Frank Miller said, "Can you guys give advice to the new investors on here that have not experienced anything like this? What would you suggest them to do?"
You want me to start, Rob?
Sure.
Sure, why not? So, and I did talk about this a little bit on Tuesday, and I think Frank would actually be the first to agree. Hold cash. Uncertain times, if you don't have cash, you're going to be in trouble, just like a business is going to be in trouble. If you can't hang on, a real estate agent who also does investments, but that's a commission job. Sorry, Rob, I was looking right at you. So I'm sure Rob has tucked away some cash for uncertain times like this. I think everybody ought to be cash positive. Don't go out and, if you're new, start buying 3 houses tomorrow. Wait. Houses are not on the cheap right now. They are not on the cheap. I have some stats, but I won't go into detail. Houses aren't on discount. Like Hampton said, what is on discount stocks. So they're at a 30% discount.
I beg to differ a little bit. I have a lot of clients that were investors, and we submitted lowball offers like 4 weeks ago, and they're coming back to us on our lowball offers that we submitted 4 weeks ago. It wasn't entertaining to them then, but now with all this, let's get it off the books. So it's not a terrible time to write lowball offers and then write out like a month response time and just let them think about it. And then eventually they might come back around. So, but yeah, stay cash positive, Hampton.
Yeah, that's real good advice. And Rob, I call those boomerang deals.
Yeah.
Or, you make an offer and they don't like it now, or something happens and they get more motivated, a month or several weeks down the road, then they come back to you. I like those. Just be prepared to close on it. If you leave them that open for 30 days, who knows what it's got to be a good deal for you. Who knows what the economy or market's going to look like 30 days from now. And you're kind of bound to that unless you've got provisions or clauses in there for inspections or appraisal.
Yes. Yeah.
But in 2000, it sounds, bad, but it if you were able to have cash, retirement savings, etc., and we have another market drop and the prices go down to, I don't think they will, but if they were to get down 2007, 2008 levels, I know me and a few investors, we were buying like crazy, all that we could get our hands on when things were low. And slowly they've been coming back up, quite a bit over time. And now they're near the high point. So they're going to have to go down at some point. This just may be a catalyst. Maybe it's short term. Maybe it's the event that kind of starts that downward trend for a bit. But just don't overpay. Don't get in over your head. Don't get over leveraged. Kind of good advice that Jordan had there. And if you got cash, just look for deals when you're ready. Don't jump at the first one. Find the best one.
And another thing I would do is, if you're trying to connect right now, it's a weird time to connect, but everyone's sitting at home. So go blow up Hampton's phones and ask them questions. Call Jordan, call me. I mean, Frank Miller just said, call him for days, years. So there's plenty of people that are out there to help. Jump on Zoom calls with other investors. I mean, they're free right now. You can go longer than 40 minutes. It's just a good time to be able to kind of hang out and create an excuse to talk and connect. And we all need that right now anyway. So do it. Let's see. The filing deadline for tax returns remains April 15th. Beverly said, I heard they are going to base it on 2018. And then TG says they heard the same thing on 2018. US Today is saying both filing and payment is moved to July. That's from TW. Kita is saying, yeah, that Labor Day weekend of Derby, it will be extremely busy weekend. Airbnb should be like nuts. Forbes article says stimulus checks will depend on 2018 returns unless 2018 return wasn't filed. Then 2019 can be used as of last night. I know Hampton was looking at this morning at 10. I'm just going through questions, guys. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, they've got a 2-week stoppage on inspections for Section 8, so there's really nothing to do there. Okay. Any chance insurance coverage will cover lost business income? We've talked about that earlier. Probably not. You probably didn't spring for it, but there is a chance that you could. All right. Question number 3 from Jordan's original questions. We might have covered it. I haven't looked at it yet. What can I do as an investor to put myself in the best position to make it through? We kind of talked about it, but go ahead.
We've already talked about all of that. A couple of stats I was looking at. Now, again, this is now going through February. So we were all steamrolling through February, but everything was as strong as it could be through February, meaning kind of like those good companies, Starbucks, Home Depot, those were all super solid in February. Those businesses are still super solid. Our real estate market was solid in February. It's still solid. Very low inventory, so prices should stay up. That's one theory, but it's not like the values have come flying down in February or we had a crash in February. Everything was going great. So again, just like the companies, the real estate market, when this turns, it'd be just as good as those companies, depending how long is it going to go for.
You kind of cut out for a second, but it circled back. Another thing to do right now, guys, walk for dollars. Walk around your neighborhood, kind of do drive for dollars. We could do a walk for dollars challenge where, people say, oh, I found 10 houses in my neighborhood or whatever that, they can use drive for dollars or Deal Machine or whatever, or Snipe with Renee or whatever. I mean, but we should be able to create stuff for people to do that doesn't cause interaction. I guess Eric George is saying loss of rents insurance doesn't apply to pandemic, according to his rep at Kentucky Farm Bureau. And you are right, Jordan. Right now, or as of yesterday, there was 2,205 single-family homes on the market. When I started as a realtor 6 years ago, it was like 5,400. So we're really low. So that should kind of keep prices up. So we're in good shape. Does anybody else have any more questions? If not, I don't see any questions. So Monday at noon, we're looking to have Chris McCarty and Harry Borders. That's going to be, I'm looking at it more like a State of the Union, but I'm putting that pressure on them. They have not called this the State of the Union. But it should be good. Harry Borders and Chris are, awesome and very important. So if something might come up, if something comes up, we'll just have the other one come on. And let's see, try to connect, try to read, start book clubs, go walk your dogs. There's lots of options. Anything else you guys want to end on?
Yeah, I've got a couple things. Yeah, follow up with those old leads or people you made offers on or maybe haven't talked to a while. They may be motivated now. And think about, you may have to deal with things a little differently than in the past. I think we were talking before we got on the call that, I'm buying and made an offer on a house that I wouldn't call it a hoarder house, but she's got lots of stuff. And, in the past we had our procedures to go in and, donate some items, sell some items to, flea market, antique dealers, et cetera. And and then try to, recycle or donate, or sometimes to throw away the rest. Now that could take longer because we can't have as many people in the house. Maybe won't be going out and doing that. So my cost may go up, or maybe more dumpsters than money coming in for people actually buying the items out of the house. And so I told the seller, made the offer, we give her more money if she cleaned it out and had it broom swept. And she likes the idea of more money, but after hearing the problems and the delays and how long it would take and what it would cost, I don't think she's going for it. So if you're out buying houses, you may have to do things a little differently, or plan your labor, plan your policies and procedures, and be safe, be smart, and you may just have to make little changes to the way you do business.
Jordan, anything you want to end
All
on?
good. Thank you, Rob.
Okay. And guys, remember, I posted it in the beginning. They need masks at the Louisville hospital. So the contractors, painters, you guys might have some lying around. They literally need like hundreds of thousands of these. So if you have anything, drop them off, or you can text me and I'll pick them up from you and drop them off. I'm sure Mike Fallett is happy to do that too. Thank you all for coming. KREIA is here to support you. If you need anything, reach out to somebody on the board, and have a great day. Go on a walk. The weather's nice. All right. See you guys.